The Browns were the only team that called him this offseason. That's right, one phone call, one offer, one last shot. Given the chaos of his 2024 season, maybe it shouldn't be so shocking. Johnson bounced around the league like a pinball, traded mid-season by Carolina, cut twice before the year even ended. If he makes it to week 1 on the Browns roster, Cleveland will be his 5th team in just 18 months, a portrait of instability. Still, the Browns are taking a flyer. It's a low-risk, high-upside swing. His 2025 contract, a modest $1,170,000, 0 cents base, with 0 guarantees and no signing bonus. If things go south, the team can walk away without flinching. The cap barely notices, but Cleveland clearly sees potential. Johnson is just 28 and was once Pittsburgh's top receiving weapon. And let's be honest, the Browns wide receiver core desperately needs a spark. They're gambling that there's still a little black and gold lightning left in him. For context, Johnson was a 3rd-round pick out of Toledo in 2019. After a solid rookie stint, he secured a $36 million 0 cents extension in 2022. But following a trade to Carolina and a deal for cornerback Deontay Johnson, his career spiraled. Panthers, Ravens twice, Texans, Browns. The resume reads more like a travel itinerary than a stat sheet. He clashed with coaches. He fizzled in locker rooms. But across 12 games and 3 franchises last year, he still managed 33 catches, 375 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Not dazzling, but not invisible either. Now it's do or die. Cleveland may be Johnson's final proving ground. If you've been following the Browns closely this season, you know the energy in Cleveland is palpable. Under head coach Kevin Stefanski, this team has demonstrated resilience and an unmistakable drive to climb the ladder towards true Super Bowl contention. But what's making headlines lately isn't just the usual offseason chatter. It's a pivotal update that could send shockwaves through the entire AFC North, potentially altering the competitive balance of the league for years to come. Let's rewind and set the stage. Cleveland entered this season with sky-high expectations, especially after last season's near miss. Fans and analysts alike believed the Browns had assembled a roster poised for a deep playoff run. Defensively, led by superstars like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, the unit has been stout, while the offense, commanded by quarterback Deshaun Watson, has shown flashes of brilliance. But as any seasoned fan knows, football is a game of inches, and sometimes it's the smallest details that define success. Enter one of the most intriguing storylines of the offseason, the addition of dynamic young quarterback Shedeur Sanders, son of the legendary Deion Sanders. Shedeur, who made waves in college football at Jackson State and Colorado, is drawing attention for his arm talent, football IQ, and natural leadership. Browns fans everywhere are eager to see if he can become a future NFL star. And here's where things get especially compelling. Recent updates from Cleveland's coaching staff, particularly from head coach Kevin Stefanski, suggest that Shedeur's progress is not just hype, but a reality unfolding faster than many predicted. During recent OTA sessions and mini camps, Stefanski has openly lauded Shedeur's work ethic, his knack for absorbing complex playbooks, and his composure under pressure. This isn't just coach speak, it's a strong indication that the Browns view Shedeur as a legitimate piece of their long-term puzzle. The staff sees him as both a developmental project and a potential competitor for playing time sooner rather than later. That's huge news for Browns Nation because it points to a future where Cleveland might have a dynamic dual-threat quarterback room. Deshaun Watson, the established leader, and Shedeur Sanders, the rising star. But here's the game changer. The AFC North is already one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. The Bengals with Joe Burrow have been a force. The Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson, bring a dynamic offense and stingy defense. And the Steelers, under Mike Tomlin, are always a threat. For Cleveland to seize its moment, the team needs to be strategic, innovative, and unafraid to harness emerging talent like Shedeur Sanders. But what does this mean for the Browns' immediate future? If Shedeur keeps progressing at the pace we're seeing, it could mean several things. First, Cleveland might be positioning itself with a contingency plan. If Deshaun Watson struggles or gets injured, they'll have a talented young quarterback ready to step in. That's a game changer, given the Browns' flexibility and a competitive edge. Second, it could shape how Stefanski deploys his offense, possibly leaning on the run game and defense while gradually integrating Shedeur into the mix to keep opposing defenses on their toes. But that's not the only storm brewing in Berea. Let's talk quarterbacks. The Browns' QB situation is a blaze of speculation, and rookie Shedeur Sanders is standing squarely in the fire. All eyes are on him. Fans, analysts, legends, including one who knows exactly what it takes to earn greatness, Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer and Iron Man of the trenches. Yes, he really played over 10,000 consecutive snaps, shared some simple but powerful guidance for the young signal caller trying to earn QB1 honors. Keep your mouth shut, eyes and ears open, be humble, accept the praise, deflect it, own the criticism. Then show up the next day and improve. Classic Joe, direct, no fluff. But he didn't stop there. He urged Sanders to look himself in the mirror after every practice and ask one brutal question: did I get better today? That self-check, that standard of personal accountability, that's the stuff of greatness. That's how you go from a mismanaged franchise to a bust in Canton. Now, Sanders is in a whirlwind. The fan base is ready to anoint him. The media's already handed him the crown. But this isn't a coronation. It's a competition. Dylan Gabriel, the rookie drafted ahead of him, is still in the fight. Despite the outside noise painting him as the underdog, the kid is grinding just as hard. And if he wins the job, prepare for bedlam. One shaky throw from Flacco or Gabriel in First Energy Stadium might erupt with chants for Shedeur like it's a Saturday in Boulder. This quarterback room? A powder keg. One bad read and the whole thing could blow. The pressure is suffocating. The expectations are towering. But so far, Shedeur has said and done all the right things. He's poised, polished, and focused. And Joe Thomas's grounded wisdom might be the most anchoring force in the building right now. Keep your head down. Grind. Let your game speak. As for Deontay, he's a long shot, but a cheap one. And the Q battle is set to detonate. One way or another, the Browns' 2025 season is going to hinge on who can survive the heat and rise from the pressure. If you bleed brown and orange, subscribe to the channel because things in Cleveland are about to get wild. Thanks for being part of the ride. Breaking news. The chatter among fans has reached a fever pitch lately, and I'm here to unravel it all for you. But before we dive in, smash that like button so you never miss a beat. Now, something is brewing in Berea, and it's not just about who's going to take that first snap. Under center this fall, right at the heart of the Cleveland Browns training facility, one of the NFL's most esteemed veterans, Joel Bitonio, found himself at a pivotal crossroads this offseason. For the first time in his storied career, the 10-year stalwart openly acknowledged contemplating retirement, a man who's been the backbone of this franchise, a 5-time Pro Bowler and a bedrock in the offensive trenches. Bitonio's potential departure would have sent shockwaves throughout the league. Teammates respect that, and when you're trying to earn a role in an already stacked linebacker core, that's the kind of intangible that separates the average from the exceptional. Swester has it, and it's the kind of presence that could enable the Browns to get more creative with their defensive packages, more speed, more coverage, flexibility, more unpredictability to confound opposing offenses. And let's talk about Jerry Jeudy. But over the leadership, or lack thereof, of their highest paid superstar, over rookies already outshining seasoned veterans, over fractures in team chemistry that might be dismissed as nothing but could signify something far more consequential. This isn't just another mundane offseason storyline. It's the genesis of what could be the most tumultuous and defining season the Browns have faced in a decade. A quarterback clash that lacks genuine competition, a new receiver fighting to validate his worth, a franchise pass rusher whose leadership is quietly being scrutinized by his own teammates, and a fan base torn between hope and déjà vu. What's really happening in Cleveland? Stay tuned, because the truth is more revealing than anything we've seen on the gridiron. But first, if you're a diehard Cleveland Browns fan, hit that like button. And if you believe we're heading to the Super Bowl this year, drop this in the comments. Go Browns. I believe in the Super Bowl this year. Let's get right to the heart of the matter. The quarterback situation that's dominating every insider conversation. Shedeur Sanders, the electrifying rookie phenom from Colorado, arrived in Cleveland with sky-high expectations and a tidal wave of hype. But the buzz may be premature despite his undeniable talent. Reports surfacing from the Browns' second OTA session, open to the media, indicate that Sanders has virtually no chance of starting when the Browns face the Bengals in Week 1. Yes, you heard that right. 0. According to Zach Jackson of The Athletic, Shadir has looked impressive in practice. When you watch him, he's a very gifted thrower, accuracy, timing, all of that. If he can put it together, he's got a shot. That sounds promising until the rest of Jackson's quote lands like a hammer. But I don't think we should jump to conclusions. In other words, the talent is evident, but the coaching staff's trust isn't there. At least not yet. Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, remains tight-lipped about when or if Sanders might start. For now, Cleveland is leaning on experience and stability. That means 17-year veteran Joe Flacco or the newly acquired Kenny Pickett will likely be the ones to lead the offense out of the tunnel in Week 1. As for the rookies, they'll probably be watching from the sidelines. It's a four-way quarterback competition, Jackson confirmed, but added that there's less than a 4% chance that either rookie would realistically start in September. That's not just a slim chance, it's practically a locked door. Now imagine being Shadir Sanders. The cameras adore you, the fans chant your name, and yet you're starting at the bottom of the depth chart, struggling to climb a ladder that's not just steep but bolted to the wall. But the quarterback room isn't the only source of tension. Let's talk about the wide receiver core. The Browns are staring down a glaring issue at WR. Jerry Jeudy is the clear-cut star, that much is certain. But who's the second thread? Cedric Tillman has flashed potential, but hasn't delivered consistent production. Deontay Johnson, once a coveted weapon, is now a veteran on a prove-it deal, and he's already drawing side eyes for skipping voluntary OTAs. In a locker room desperate to reset its culture and leave behind the wreckage of a disastrous 2024 season, that kind of move doesn't go unnoticed. Johnson, who bounced between Carolina, Baltimore, and Houston last season, has undeniable talent, but carries a perception problem. Browns fans didn't hold back their frustration when he was a no-show for OTA, and while it's technically voluntary, the optics are brutal for a guy fighting to prove he still belongs. And just when the drama seemed to hit its peak, here comes Jamari Thrash, the 2024 fifth-rounder from Louisville. Barely saw the field last season, just 3 catches for 22 yards. But with Elijah Moore not re-signed and Jeudy occasionally sliding into the slot, Thrash is suddenly in the spotlight. According to Zach Jackson, Thrash was the first man up as the slot receiver in OTA hit a veteran DeAndre Carter. Think about that. A rookie with almost no NFL resume is getting first-team reps. That's either a scathing indictment of the veterans or a clear sign that Cleveland sees something special in Thrash. His college tape backs it up. Dynamic yards, after-catch ability, breakaway speed in open space, and the kind of twitchy burst that cracks defenses wide open. If he earns Stefanski's trust, he could become the Browns' secret weapon this fall. The Browns' offense is undeniably in desperate need of a spark. But it's not just the offensive struggles grabbing headlines. Myles Garrett, the cornerstone of Cleveland's defense, now finds himself embroiled in controversy. Despite signing a record-shattering 4-year, $160 million since extension this offseason, Garrett skipped voluntary OTAs, technically permitted, sure, but symbolically, it's a lightning rod. Fans were disheartened. Analysts openly questioned the message it sends, and the tension didn't stop there. One of his own teammates, fellow defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo, fueled the fire by liking an Instagram post that criticized Garrett's leadership. That move ignited social media like a bonfire in the heart of First Energy Stadium. Coming off a season where he posted 14 sacks, 47 tackles, and 3 forced fumbles, Garrett remains one of the league's most formidable defenders. But now that he's the highest-paid defensive player in franchise history, and with a no-trade clause to boot, leadership is no longer optional, it's expected. Here's the twist. All of this drama is unfolded on the heels of a season where the Browns went from playoff hopefuls to cellar dwellers. When Gabriel first took the field at Browns OTA, it wasn't his arm strength or command of the huddle that stood out. It was the fact that compared to the colossal offensive lineman towering before him, he appeared diminutive. Not just rookie adjusting to the NFL as small, but visibly undersized. Standing barely above 5'11", Gabriel's stature became an immediate focal point, and not just for fans or analysts. One moment said it all. Mason Graham looming over Gabriel, effortlessly swatted down a pass attempt, a stark, almost theatrical demonstration of the quarterback's physical limitations. Gabriel, straining to arc the ball over the line, leaned into his throw, but it wasn't even close. The pass was rejected, dead center in Graham's palm. It wasn't merely a failed play, it was a glaring testament to what the Browns had signed up for. And the scrutiny didn't stop there. Off the field, the media wasted no time piling on. One Browns beat reporter, caught on a hot mic as Gabriel exited a press conference, was heard remarking, "I'm taller than him." That kind of unscripted moment is gold for skeptics. And now Browns fans are left to wonder whether they've landed a potential franchise quarterback or just another training camp sideshow waiting to flame out. But don't count him out just yet, because like any compelling football story, there's another side. Gabriel may be undersized, but the game film tells a different story. One of arm talent, instincts, and one defining trait that might just tip the scales: precision. We're talking about pinpoint throws, balls perfectly threaded into tight windows, back shoulder darts, timing routes that keep the receiver in full stride. In a league where sub 60% completion rates are a non-starter, Gabriel might just be the kind of quarterback who flourishes in a system that prizes decision-making over brute physical prowess. Enter head coach Kevin Stefanski, a proven strategist who has already guided this team to playoff football, and you begin to see the chess match unfolding. He understands how to maximize the resources he has. If Stefanski can orchestrate what Sean Payton achieved with Bo Nix, simplifying the playbook early, keeping Gabriel on script, and nurturing confidence through system-based football, there could very well be a legitimate path forward for Gabriel. Picture it like this. He doesn't need to be a human highlight reel. He needs to be the quarterback equivalent of an NBA point guard. Smart, measured when necessary, aggressive when opportunities arise, but most importantly, protecting the football. Let your offensive weapons shine. Run Stefanski's scheme. Let the game flow to you. Here's where things really get interesting. If Gabriel doesn't secure a firm hold on the QB2 spot by the time training camp kicks off, the Browns' depth chart is going to get very crowded very fast. According to ESPN's internal rankings at OTAs, Joe Flacco sits atop the list, no shock there, but the real eyebrow raiser, Shedeur Sanders, reportedly dazzled, playing like a man determined to prove himself. They finished with one of the NFL's worst records, earning the second overall pick in the 2025 draft, only to trade it to Jacksonville. In exchange, they acquired the fifth pick and selected Michigan's defensive tackle Mason Graham, a promising addition, certainly, but one that only intensifies the pressure on this defense to shoulder the load once again. For what it's worth, Cleveland's defense was the team's lone redeeming force in 2024, ranked 9th in the NFL by PFSN's Defense Plus metric. They battled valiantly despite the offense's glaring flaws. But now, the margin for error has evaporated. Garrett's presence, and more crucially, his leadership, will be scrutinized like never before. So, what's next for the Cleveland Browns? Are we witnessing a young squad on the cusp of forging a new identity? Or are these the ominous cracks of a deeper organizational rift? Will Shedeur Sanders eventually seize the reins, or will veterans like Flacco and Pickett steer the ship through yet another middling campaign? Will Jamari Thrash emerge from obscurity, or will the receiver woes continue to plague this roster? Browns fans, we want to hear from you. What do you think about Shedeur Sanders' prospects this season? And speaking of early days, the storm brewing in Cleveland is just getting started. Let's peel back the layers of drama simmering inside the locker room. Because while the offense struggles to find its rhythm, the interpersonal dynamics within the defense might be the hidden spark or powder keg that defines this season. The Myles Garrett saga is particularly worth watching. You don't pay a man $160 million, 0 cents, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in franchise history, and then quietly accept it when he skips out on a crucial piece of the team's early bonding experience. Yes, OTAs are voluntary. Yes, Kevin Stefanski publicly defended his start. But behind the scenes, the message isn't lost in this locker room. Leadership in the NFL isn't just about sacks and Pro Bowl nods. It's about presence. And right now, Garrett's absence is the loudest presence in Berea. The fact that a fellow defensive end liked a social media post calling out Garrett's leadership is more than a footnote. It's a blazing red flag. When teammates begin subtly and sometimes not so subtly questioning one another's commitment, that's the kind of internal friction that can either forge a championship caliber team or splinter it from within. Fans aren't blind to this dynamic. They remember Garrett's trade request. They heard his frustrations about losing and his desire to contend for a Super Bowl. They saw him walk those comments back the moment a record-breaking contract landed on his desk. Now, as the franchise attempts to rise from the ashes of a 3-win debacle, he's not setting the tone in person, and that's a problem. Money can't fix that. Only leadership can.